So hello everyone, I'm Case and today I'm going to play this game Narcissu. I used to see this game around with my library, so I wanna try it. And it seemed nice. Alright. Select actor, select translation. I guess this is the first part. What's the difference? We always keep insanity spirit. Two 2001, 2002, 2003. Even so, I attended elementary school like all the others. And during summer break, I often played until I was utterly done. June, shortly after my entry into middle school. The day after I ordered a swimsuit for use the next month. My first hospitalization on the day just before the first semester midterm. On the day when the first drop of rain was so cruelly cold. Falling from ice, the pure white of the overcast sky. Of course, the first time it's happened, all my classmates came to me almost every day. And when I was released, they even came to my house on my weekends to play. But that was only the first time around. Autumn into winter, winter into spring, a vicious cycle, hospitalization, release, clinics, and hospitalization again. And before I knew it, even the classmates I once called friends turned into acquaintance, and then into strangers. As if with everything changing of season, I was being erased from the collective memories. It seemed that to all those normal people, my very existence was an unpleasant fact. Goddamn. And so it looked like I've been erased. I spent so many seasons, so many white overcast skies, without the want or need to converse with anybody. What matter, my English textbook never changed from that of a first year middle school student before the first midterm. I see, so everyone else is like moving on already. My time seemed to come to end. Stage Nana, Volume 24. Protagonist. Ooh. Flowing sweat. The gigantic electronics cupboard in the driver's license examination facility lit up all at once. My eyes and everyone else looked for our respective numbers. 237, 237. And of some at column in the lit text. Sure enough, my examination number was shining in the midst. A nearly empty train car, perhaps thanks to the beautiful afternoon. Almost alone in that car, I was heading back home from the examination hall. My left hand held a new traffic regulation handbook, and my breast pocket held my brand new driver license. So now I got a license as well. I murmured somewhat happily, but there was no strong feeling behind it. I never particularly wanted to drive a car. I never particularly had any motive for it. It was just that my colleague and my technical institute both recommend that I at least get the driver license. That night, when I told my parents that I gotten my license, they really replied with an "I see." And when I asked if I could borrow the car just for a test run, they instantly and curtly said just one thing: no. Why I didn't really want to drive the car or anything. The response all too expected. Those were my parents for you. Damn. The next day I awoke with the chest pain and went to the hospital. Sickness and I generally had nothing to do with each other, which is why I found the ER waiting room to be utterly boring. And just when I thought they were through examining me, they ordered an x-ray and some blood tests, then they left. And again, I was left waiting for a long time. I already polished off 3 volumes of Shonen Jump and was just about to start on 4th one. They admitted me to the hospital right then and there. And it seemed that my new license, which still lay snugly in my breast pocket, will have to wait for a long time for its turns to come. What is it supposed to mean like this? Right around when the all too noisy cicadas has finally gone silent, I once again found myself in the hospital as per usual. Of course, it wasn't as if I'd been there the entire time. I came and went, a futile cycle. My first surgery was a month before. After that, I started doing the 5-minute commute to and from the hospital by mob. And from then on, I was hospitalized, discharged, ordered to clinic, and hospitalized again and again and again. While I still had no clue what PAT or ERISA stood for, in no time at all, several months has already passed. As my appetite decreased, my medication increased, I could feel my own physical strength atrophying away. I keep imagining that my legs were getting thinner. But the needle of the weight scale rudely informed me it's not just your imagination, and yet I keep looking on myself with detached interest, as if it were happening to somebody else entirely, as if I were looking at the scene of the TV or the light. My mind could not grasp what had so suddenly happened to my body. Nothing within me was telling me that this was real at all. And that's why, even though it was all happening to me, I kept looking on as if it were happening to someone far away. Winter 2004. A day of winter around when the Christmas tree has vanished from the tree. I was discharged home as a kind of year entrant. It seemed like an exercise in total dressing, but still, it made me slightly happy. I traveled back to a home I had not seen in a long time in the midst of the freezing rain. Strangely enough, my entire family was there. My parents, who had never so much as talked to me, came out to meet me, if with terribly stilted smiles. And my little sister, with whom I never had a pleasant word, had made my favorite cream stew and my fried shrimp just for me. They made me sit at the table. They put tangerine for me. They were cruelly kind. It was an impressive display. At this point, a little thought occurred to me about my new driver license, which was still stuffed away in my pocket, that perhaps things would end for the license without it ever having knowing any use. And surrounded by a trio of stilted, strained smiles, I kept that thought as if it were someone else's business. With dispassion, ambiguity, and total disinterest. January 2005. A new year began and I returned to the hospital. But on this day, instead of my usual 4 afternoon, I ended up in a conference room of sorts. They took me there, and then my father and the doctors had a little talk. I joined in. Well, they talked to me. So this their so-called announcement. They said in a trivial roundabout fashion, but they told me that I was going to die. I see. That was my only reply. I had no other words. It was the only thing that left my mouth from the beginning to end. And the doctor's ballpoints flew across the paper as if it's in response to my word. Those were probably hospice enrollment procedure. Business like to the last, my father was the same. So it's this simple, was the only real talk I had. That day I was transferred from 4F to 7F, from a 6-person room to a private room. It was a little different from the other wards. This is 7F. First of all, the floor was sparkling clean, and second of all, the ceiling was higher than I ever seen it. The room was very nice and had large windows from which the warm daylight streamed in as if by design, but the windows only opened a little. I tested them out and my head would just barely fit out of one. The color of my ID bracelet had changed as well. The bracelet that I had worn ever since that first hospitalization, the one that had my name and blood type recorded on it. Its color had now changed from blue to white. A high ceiling, a white vinyl bracelet, a window that will not open more than 15 centimeters. The TV programs celebrating the new year were still playing when I was transferred to this 7F, and it was at that dawn of that very year that I met her for the first time.
Narcissu.
Winter 2005 7F. There was this place kind of lounge at one side of the corridor across from the Narcissu station. This generally deserted place held a few couches, chairs, as well as a large TV. Stupid programs commemorating the new year was still being broadcast on the 28-inch screen. And there was a girl who looked absolutely bored watching that absolutely boring TV. Short in pink pajamas, a white bracelet on her wrist, just like mine. Impressively long hair that almost reached down to her hips. Hey, do you find that interesting? There was no deep purpose in simply ask. I had nothing else to do, so I started talking to her. Not really, was her only reply to me. She didn't turn to face me at all, and she kept looking on with the boredom at the TV as if I didn't even exist. Then don't watch it. Even as though I thought this, I sat down in a chair next to her, and side by side we watched TV, nothing else to do, nothing that we could do. So we sat there silently and watched TV. Yeah, there's nothing much to do, right? That's why. New Year's celebration programs, as per usual, a useless array of comedian and oddities. And every so often the MC's stupid shrill laughter resounding dryly in this white sun-drenched lounge. Say, tell me. The girl suddenly started to talk to me, but her eyes were as always glued to the TV screen. How many times is it for you? What do you mean by that? How many times have you come here to 7F? Sorry, I have no clue what you're talking about. I see. So it's your first time then? So she seen my confusion about her question and come to the right conclusion. Then since there's no one else around and since it's my duty. There this rule. Nodding slightly, she explained that the rule was that someone here 7F should tell newcomers the truth. I knew nothing, I understood even less. As if I did not even exist, she slowly started her speech. Then listen closely. Her words, spoken methodically, one by one, were a little different from all the one I heard from the doctors about this place. In their business-like, crypt syntax, they told me this is a place where one waits for medical advance. This is a place where one heal one heart, and perhaps they might be having correct in a general sense. But according to the girl, that was just a party line. The truth was that this 7F was the only place in the hospital where medical treatment did not take place. This was just a place where you waited for your life to come to an end. Those were her words to me. I thought so as well. I felt it even before she'd spoken. See, this is my second time. Second time doing what? Coming here? And then she explained to me that nobody on 7F stayed here for initial hospitalization all the way until death. While there was a zero possibility of being cured, you were sent home if your condition was stable. But if it's worsened again, you will be returned here. The cycle ends only in death. Whether it was at home or here on 7F, always one of the two, you were going to die. No way to escape it, it seemed. And with that meaning permitting her every word, she informed me that this was her second time up here. I'm going to need to say this once. So, listen closely now. She continued to speak, all the while staring at the blank TV screen. This wasn't either chit-chat about when the lights out was, or where the kitchen was, or anything like that. This was something completely different. The third time you are discharged home, resign yourself. There won't be a fourth time. You will never come home again. If you ever wanted to escape, head toward the B station, not the A station. Eat nothing, this is a simple shortcut. You leave the smallest burden on your family that way. Damn, it was as if she was packed to the brim with a matter like those. This was probably an oral tradition, relevant only to those who were going to die and kept by those who came here for that purpose. So, is this the 30 that you're talking about? Yes, that's right. So do remember to perform it for the newcomer yourself someday, okay? With those, she slowly stood up. She crazily tossed her long hair, and it grazed my nose. I have to go get my temperature measured, so... Then she turned her back and started walking down the corridor. Now completely deserted except for me, the lunch held only the laughter from the TV and the white flowers by the window suite. In the end, she didn't even look at me once. A few days later, New Year's celebration was over. The middle and high school students were beginning a new term. And just as ever, she and I sat in this lounge, staring blankly at the TV. This is boring. So it is. So we sat, but both of us kept our eyes on the screen. Hey, is this place always this way? Yeah, she said, I don't understand what you're getting at. I'm getting at how it always deserted. I other than the nurses, doctor, and health staff. And other than her, I don't see a single person. Did everybody go home for the new year or something?
その理由を知りたいの。
So she said, do you really want to know? Well, I didn't mean.
じゃあ言わない。
Then I won't tell you. We would distressingly toss back and forth this action that could not even be called a conversation. The slight breeze coming from the window that will not open more than 15 centimeters. From time to time, her hand would sway, and as if in agreement, the flowers at the windowsill would too. This was how we killed time day after day, staring at boring, good-for-nothing TV. Click, click, click. What is that? Oh, here the two of you are. An elderly nurse said, and she rushed toward us. From what I've seen of the nurse's station, she was apparently the charge of nurse of 7F. Well, Miss Setsumi, any fever?
大丈夫。出てない。
Yeah, so she said, I'm fine, no fever. Setsumi. So that's her name. So that was her name. You really shouldn't be moving around like this. Do you understand? Everyone worry about you.
別にいいよ。
Well, whatever. That's what she said. Come now. What kind of an answer is that? Oh, children this day. So the nurse said. The nurse continued to scold and handpack for some while longer. And the girl named Setsumi just pretended not to notice it at all. She simply stared straight forward at the boring TV, paying that fuzzy nurse a little hit as she could. I'll be coming later to draw some blood, okay? I think this is the nurse. With those words, the charge nurse went back to the nurse station. Hey, you know. Well, mind if I call you Setsumi? I asked this as I stared at her white vinyl ID bracelet and at the blood type at the name written therein. There's something the matter, Setsumi.
どうして呼び捨てなの？
Why are you calling me that? Huh?
年下のくせに。
You're younger than me. Hey, why am I younger than you?
別に。そう思っただけ。
Nothing, that's just what I thought is all. It wasn't that I was offended that she called me younger than her. It was just that no matter how I look at it, I thought I was 5-6 years older than she was. That's why I took my driver license from my breast pocket and handed it directly to her. See, I may not seem it, but I'm 20.
やっぱり年下よ。
Oh, seriously? So you are younger after all? She only took a glance at my license before handing it back to me. I don't really get what you're saying.
どうでもいいじゃない。
It
少し
doesn't
上なだ
really
けよ。
matter. I'm just a little older than you are, that's all. She murmured expressively as ever. Her eyes were fixed on that boring TV, all right. But it also felt as if she was gazing at something far away. After the text, my vital sign. I snuck past nurses and bought the elevator. When I got to 1F, I walked out to the outpatient clinic doors and walked outside of the hospital. My goal was that place I'd been taught about not long ago. Not nearby a station. It wasn't that I wanted to escape or anything. At 7F or at home, none of us died anywhere else. That's what I've been told. And this B station, which this girl named Setsumi had apparently been too many times. That's why, at least just once, I wanted to see this place with my own eyes. It's not as if there's going to be a guard on duty. Even so, we were inhabitants of 7F, different from other inpatient. And thinking of Vex, maybe so early in the morning, I headed toward the station. My legs settled into a lazy gait as I glanced sidelong at the people commuting to school or school. After about 25 minutes of this, I arrived in front of the station, roughly 4 bus stops away. When I calculate it out, wow, there are a lot of people here, was my first impression of the B station. I stood out a bit because I was in the pajamas, but I feel that if I could just buy a subway ticket, I'd be able to go anyway, no question about it. I still had no idea why I've been told to go to the B station, not the A station. But it looked as if it would be easy to escape if I really wanted to. She must have come here many times herself, so why did she remain on 7F right now? The station in the early morning, I stood there thinking their thoughts as if I watched the people rapidly passing me by. That night, after lights out, bored of the manga and unable to sleep, I wandered through the hospital alone. Certainly it wasn't supposed to be allowed after light out, but we of the 7F had peculiar kind of liberty. So in the presence of no light, in the pitch black stillness of the lounge, there was where I found her. Hey, have you been looking outside today? The darkened interior. She didn't answer me, but she continued to stare out the window as if she had not. I immediately launched into what happened today. Oh, by the way, I went out to the station today. The big station you just as you stopped me.
So,
I see. But her response did not change. I thought that she would react with something because she'd been there before too. But now that I thought about it, did the fact that she was here mean that she had no intention of escaping in the first place?
私、もうすぐ帰れるの。
I'm going to be home soon. What? She opened her mouth abruptly and spoke as if she'd seen right through me.
でも、次で3回目だから、
I see. But next time will be the third time.
もう会えないかもね。
So we may not see each other again. Yeah, I guess. Probably what she was talking about temporary discharge from the hospital. She told me that nobody was discharged from 7F more than 3 times. Unlike the elderly, given the progress of our disease, this meant all the more to the young people like us. Her, we may not see each other again, was filled with that kind of meaning.
ねえ、あなたはどちらを選ぶの？
Oh, which one have you decided on? Decided on?
どっちで死ぬつもりってこと？
Were you going to die? When that word death came up so abruptly, I was a total loss for words. I don't know. Haven't thought about it yet.
そう。まだ1回目だもんね。
I see. It's just your first time after all. She murmured, looking desolate. Suddenly, it wasn't as if I was going to exist here forever. Just like everyone else, I will be admitted and discharged, slowly grow weak, and someday I will have to choose in the end, here on 7F or at home surrounded by fake smile.
私は家は嫌。
It's pretty sad. I don't want to die at home.
だけど、ここも嫌。
I don't want to die here either. And then what will you do?
別にどうもしない。
What is that the only thing?
自力で歩けるうちにどこかに行くだけ。
I see. It's to go somewhere while I still have the strength to. Somewhere she want to go, I guess. Somewhere you can be. This girl was staying here on 7F when she could have escaped anytime she wanted. When I thought of that, do you have any other place to go?
あなた、私を引き止めたいの？
Do you want to stop me? What?
それとも一緒についてきたいの？
Or do you want to come with me? Oh, what is this? Well, no, that wasn't what I was thinking about.
じゃあ聞かないで。
Then don't ask. She was staring out the window as she spoke, dispassionate, not looking at me once, the same as ever. But then and just then, her usual expressionless face looked so very sad to me. I was a newcomer to 7F, just recently taught, and the third discharge was the last. And she was the girl who soon was to be discharged for the second time. I still did not feel anything real about what happening to me. But would I too come to wear such a face someday? The rain at moonlight twilight, sometimes sleet, sometimes snow, always coming down. And I was sitting there watching TV in my usual place. 7F felt as devoid of people as it always had.
面白い。
Anything interesting? No, completely boring. She walked to my side. Saying no more, she sat down in the chair next to me. And that was how we began watching TV on this very day as well. And she probably was in the same boat as me. Nothing else to do, nothing we could do. Oh, I had never seen her respond to the TV before. Is something the matter?
別に。
Not really. Those were her usual words, but her response was anything but usual. And I looked at the screen, interested in anything that could move her soul. There were nature scenes being displayed on TV, beautiful hills and dales burgeoning with trees and flowers, and a vast spread of white flowers in the midst. I remember those flowers from somewhere. They look very similar to white flowers that decorate the windowsills. Could those be the same flowers? You know, the same as those over there? I pointed to the flowers by the window as I said this.
違う。
No. Huh? Really?
種類は同じだけど厳密に言えば
Ah, they're on the same variety, but they are not strictly the same. I know what you mean. Because they're inside, she glanced at the flowers by the window for a second, and then went back to gazing at the TV. She told me that they were different, but I couldn't see the distinction between the two. Obviously, and it meant nothing to me whether flowers were the same or different. What did he mean? Something was this girl who usually never said a word more than she needed to. She was conversing in rare form today, which was why I decided to follow along. Do you happen to know a lot about them? Flower, that is.
別に
Not really. Really? But I don't see the difference. The flower on the screen and the flowers in the vase to her side. I continued to talk as if I stared vacantly at the stool. Look, look. Are these orchid or lilies? See, they are pure white, right? I had no interest. Yeah, I keep trying to make conversation, but She resumed her silence soon enough. And if with her usual lack of expression, she continued staring at the boring TV screen. And just when I turned back to the TV, resigned to the fact that I get nothing more out of her. Narcissus. What? I think it's flower name is it? Those are Narcissus. As she answered, she turned to face me for the first time. Her hip length, hair swaying. She pointed at TV screen and looked at me. The ID bracelet on her wrist was white. Her skin was white, just as flower on the screen. And I swore I could see a tiny smile on that face that was looking at me for the first time. Ooh. So that was it. Finish. I think I should end it here. Thanks for watching.